Question 1. A bank is reviewing its transaction monitoring system and notices a high number of false positives. What should be the next step? Option A. Increase the threshold for generating alerts. Option B. Conduct a review to refine the monitoring scenarios. Option C. Disable the system to avoid false positives. Option D. Outsource the monitoring to a third-party vendor. The correct answer is option B. Conduct a review to refine the monitoring scenarios. The next step should be to conduct a review to refine the monitoring scenarios. This approach allows the bank to analyze and adjust its transaction monitoring criteria, reducing false positives while maintaining effective fraud detection. Increasing the threshold for generating alerts may lead to missing actual fraudulent transactions, as it could ignore suspicious activities that fall below the new threshold. Disabling the system to avoid false positives would eliminate all monitoring capabilities, leaving the bank vulnerable to fraud without any detection mechanism in place. Outsourcing the monitoring to a third-party vendor does not address the underlying issues within the current system and may result in similar false positives if the vendor uses similar monitoring criteria. Extended rationale: the correct answer remains B. Conduct a review to refine the monitoring scenarios. To understand this item thoroughly, begin by identifying the exact concept being tested and then connect the most important clue in the question to the defining characteristics of the correct answer. The strongest answer is not simply the option that sounds generally related to the topic, it is the option that most precisely accounts for the facts, terminology, circumstances, or decision described in the STEM. This distinction is especially important in professional examination questions because several choices may contain statements that are true in another setting while only one directly answers the question being asked. A careful approach is to evaluate the alternatives one at a time. For each choice, ask what specific evidence would need to be present for that option to be correct and then compare that requirement with the information actually supplied in the question. Incorrect options often represent closely related concepts, different stages of a process, different responsibilities, different risk factors, or actions that would be appropriate only after additional facts were established. Recognizing those distinctions helps eliminate distractors without changing or adding assumptions to the original scenario. The underlying principle should also be understood in context rather than memorized as an isolated fact. In real-world professional practice, decisions are generally based on the totality of the available information, established procedures, relevant standards, and the specific circumstances of the case. An individual clue may point toward a particular conclusion, but sound reasoning requires determining how that clue relates to the broader concept being tested. This is why understanding why an answer is correct is more useful than memorizing the answer letter alone. The same principle can appear in a future question using different wording, a different scenario, or a different set of distractors. For exam purposes, use a 3-step method. First, determine exactly what the STEM is asking you to identify, prioritize, recognize, or do. Second, isolate the decisive clue or clues and connect them to the relevant concept. Third, compare every option with those clues and eliminate answers that require information the question does not provide. Following that reasoning confirms B. Conduct a review to refine the monitoring scenarios, as the best answer. The original rationale above establishes the core reason, and this expanded analysis reinforces how to distinguish the correct response from the alternatives while applying the same concept confidently to similar questions.